Hello, all of you. So, we are on the last chapter of Class 8 NCRT, and tomorrow onwards, we'll move to the Class 9th book. So, gradually, we are evolving into our polity course and picking up with the NCRTs. So, let us quickly wrap up this NCRT that we have to do today, the last chapter. Law and social justice, it says. Now, it starts with three components we need to know about: producer, worker, and consumer. A producer produces any stuff with the help of worker. Wherever production is happening, there is someone who is putting the capital, bringing in the machines, taking over the creation of entire infrastructure needed to maintain to for production, and then there are a set of skilled workers who are into that production process. Now, once the product is there or any service is finalized, then there are consumers who buy those products. So workers work for, here you see, workers work for producer, and they together deliver goods and services for the consumer. Now, here onwards, moving, see, you see a production plant going here. So these machines belongs to producer. They are the workers, and whatever product, suppose it's a cotton yarn, what is this? It's a textile mill. Yes. So whatever textile, whatever fabric comes out of it, me and you will use that. Okay, so we are consumers. Now there are certain laws in place. There are certain laws in place that uh, describe that are necessary to make sure that these workers are not exploited. There is something called Minimum Wages Legislation Act, which says that no worker can get wages less than this particular amount. But just making law is not necessary, is what our book says. By merely making laws is not enough. The government has to ensure that these laws are implemented. See, a law is as good as it is implemented. If it's not implemented well, the law is not good, despite having all the provisions. This means that the law must be enforced. Enforcement means becomes even more important when the law seeks to protect the weak from the strong. For instance, to uh, ensure that every worker gets fair wages, the government has to regularly inspect work sites and punish those who violate the law. So these are the provisions that government makes. They randomly go to any working site and see if workers are being given fair wages, if they are working under suitable hygienic congenial conditions, is there proper lighting or not, because all are properly are these safety measures properly implemented or not. Whenever you see like here in Delhi, I come across whenever there is an extension of Delhi Metro. So there are instructions written on the site that please wear helmet, please wear your proper gear. And if the contractor is unable to make workers do that, then there will be a raid by the government officials and they will punish him. Maybe he will lose his license. So these are very, very important because life is at risk here for workers who are working here. So many of these laws have their basis in fundamental rights. As I told you, fundamental rights guaranteed by the Indian Constitution. Right against exploitation says that no one can be forced to work for low wages or under bondage. Now, what is bondage? Bondage is like forced labor. Uh, there is a term in Hindi, bandhua mazduri. Like you are bonded laborer, you will get some food, you won't get any money. And if someone offers you some work and you are ready to work, but then you both of you, who has offered you work and the one who is willing to work for him, they must arrive at a consensus that there shall be a particular amount of remuneration. If that is not agreed upon, then no one can be forced to work at a lower wage. Again, that is what the constitution says. You cannot force anyone to work at a lower wage or for bonded labor. That's punishable by law. Now, here we are given a very, one very unfortunate incident happened in Bhopal. Bhopal is in Madhya Pradesh on 2nd December 1984. I'm sure you might have heard about it. If not, we'll discuss it. Now, there was this plant called chemical factory from US, Union Carbide. It produced a certain amount of American company it was, and they had a plant in this city of Bhopal, And methyl isocyanatine (MIC), it's a very poisonous gas, a highly toxic gas. It started to leak from the plant, and there were so many casualties here. You see the funeral here, mass funeral, it seems. So most of those exposed to the poison gas were poor working class families who were working in that plant or living in the nearby vicinity. Mostly what workers do, you will study this in your paper one, modern world history, that when industrial towns were built in England or US or anywhere in Europe, then the uh, owners of those plants made sure that workers settle nearby, so that early morning they can get up and quickly come for work, and when they finish their work they can go back to their homes and take rest and enjoy leisure with their family and then come back. So traveling, and so for this very purpose, wherever the plant was, a colony of workers was established, was built for this very purpose, so that they can readily communicate from their residence to their workstation. Now when the gas leaked, there were several workers living in the vicinity of that plant, and they were sleeping and they died. 50,000 people today too sick to work. Can you imagine this number? Anytime in 1984 or 2020, this is a very big number. So disaster was not an accident. Union Carbide had deliberately ignored the essential safety measures in order to cut costs. Now, this is the issue. Every producer, every capitalist wants to cut cost. Whatever you study, wherever you do MBA from, or whatever business prospects you go deep, delve deep into, there's just two things that can bring more profit. First thing is to increase your revenue. Second thing is to cut your cost. How do you increase your revenue? When you increase production, then more products will be sold at a higher price. You will get more money. When you cut your cost, okay. So how do you cut your cost? That is not something that we'll discuss here. But when you compromise on safety measures, that's a very, ghastly step taken. That was a very bad step taken to cut costs. There would have been something else. Reduce the salary of your top executives who are earning in lakhs at that time also. So instead of that, what they did to cut costs, they compromised on safety measures. They did not enforce those safety measures. So this is not a and not an accident. It's a deliberate negligence, criminal negligence. So there was overwhelming evidence pointing to UC as responsible for this disaster, but they did not accept that. See, 1984, India as we know today was not the same in 1984. Today, India can assert itself. India has that power. India can take anyone to international court and sue. And there is UNO and WTO, and India plays a significant role, as you will discuss. You will discover with your other modules of general studies. But in 1984, again, uh, the government could not do that. See, a government is as strong as the country. I'll not entirely blame the then government. Mr. Rajiv Gandhi was the prime minister. However, some blame lies on him, not the entire blame. Today, you can say that no, today the PM will not allow any such thing because India has a different position in world altogether. Okay, 1984 is different from 2020. So legal battle happened, and 3 billion compensation India claimed and got 470 million. Very low amount compared to what India claimed. Supreme Court had to rule that the settlement amount would stand. Supreme Court of India also did not because Supreme Court will go by the evidence. Supreme Court will go by what the law says, because already they had neglected that. The state could not enforce, and the liability was decreased by the company. So the company stopped its operation. They went there, and 24 years later, people are still fighting for justice. 24 is uh, this book was published when the incident was 24-year old. It's actually 35 years now. So 10 more years. Anderson, the UC chairman who faced criminal charges, was to be prosecuted. He escaped. He never came back. He escaped, and it is said that he escaped in the government vehicle, which belonged to the then Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh. So whatever there was, 35 years is too long to discuss these things. But what this chapter tells us, what this module in this book tells us, that see, if you are not abiding by what the law says, if you are not ensuring the safety measures, you are compromising life of thousands and lakhs of people. And life is precious, whether poor or rich. Any human life is very precious. So coming to the current context, now we have such liability measures. If you do not obey that, you are liable to be prosecuted. A heavy fine shall be levied, and of course, government agencies are regularly monitoring whether they are doing it or not. So why did Union Carbide set up its plant in India and American country coming all the way to Bhopal? See, here where the economics of the entire scheme comes into place, there is something called cost efficiency. What is that? The amount that a worker would charge in US is more than what a worker would charge in India. Okay, outsourcing you must be aware of. So India offers skilled labor. In 84 also it was offering. In 2020 it has increased manyfold. We are doing several, you know, things which for which the global companies are coming to our country. So we have a large population, a skilled population who can speak very good English, who can offer their services to American and European companies, to Japanese companies, to all, even Chinese companies. So they come here because we can do it for less price what their native would do for. Again, India is home to several natural resources. Oh, so it's a beneficial for any multinational company to come and settle their plants in India, and we are seeing it happening. And maybe post corona, the whatever the schemes have been announced by the current government, it will bring it aims to bring more companies. Whether that happens or not remains to be seen, but I am quite bullish about it, very optimistic about it, because we offer that low cost advantage to the world. Now what happens, they come here, but then they did not follow the rules. And again, several things were enforced, we shall see here. Enforcement of safety laws. Now again, Article 21, I have discussed it again, that most of the times court has interpreted it. It is also the duty of government to ensure the right of life guaranteed under Article 21. And if it's violated, then fundamental rights are violated. Government officials refuse to recognize the plant as hazardous. Now see, now you must realize how Union Carbide went away scot free. How they could settle from something 3 billion US dollars to 470 million US dollars. Why? Because government itself. And now there is an agreement between our government and the company. The government itself is saying it's not hazardous. So it will be recognized as an accident if something happens, not a criminal negligence on the part of the company. When some municipal officials in Bhopal objected that the installation of an MIC production unit in 78 was a safety violation, the position of the government was that the state needs the continued investment of the Bhopal plant, which provides job, of course, but not at the cost of life. But then the government was myopic enough. They could not see what will happen, because when usually we see such things, whenever we companies come, we do not think that what if there is an accident, because it's a good jubilant mood that investment is coming, people will get job, production will happen. But now we have to think on it. Like when an apartment is being built, you can see that in your city, everywhere in India, you can see that in our cities, in Indian cities, when an apartment is being built, builder thinks, what if there is an earthquake? So let me introduce some measures, some devices that would make this building secure. It's not like that its safety is not on mind. So now we have to make this safety thing very uh, ahead in our priority list. So it was unthinkable, according to them, to ask UC to shift to cleaner technology. Again, the position of India, you know, we were not even fully liberalized. We were still reeling under the old Nehruvian socialism. So it was very unthinkable for us to ask a multinational company to obey what we are doing. Now India has gained that confidence. 1991 new economic policies were announced, and so many generation of Indians have been born who have grown up in liberalized and globalized India. So we know how to make things clear at our end. So it was unimaginable then. It's not the case now. As I told you, India is different what it was in 1984. So again, you can in retrospect we can blame the government and everything, but then, as I told you, the circumstances were entirely different. So it would be little unfair to entirely blame the government at that time. Anywhere, any incidents happens, of course, government is the one who does the things, but then government is as good as the citizens, right? So in 1984 also there are other, this Bhopal disaster has been explained, the aftermaths have also been explained. Now henceforth, now there was so much of protest against this particular accident, so much of discussion happened that it was increasingly felt that now to bring laws that protect us is inevitable. So now the polluter was to be held accountable for the damage done to the environment. Environment is something that people over generation will share, and it could not be destroyed merely for industrial development. Yes, clean life. Clean environment is again right to life. Me and you are entitled to get breathe good air, drink clean water, and eat good food. So when poisonous gases are being leaked, when our rivers are dirty, how do we do that? So again, there is this sewage treatment. If a particular industrial unit is disposing its waste in the water bodies, they need to treat that in their sewage plant because they can dispose it off. So we see things have slowly improved, and it has taken several accidents for us to wake up. But still, better late than never. So I don't guess there is nothing more in this chapter to talk about. A major role of the government is to control the activities of private companies by making, enforcing, and upholding laws so as to prevent unfair practices and ensure social justice. Now, this tragedy has taught us a very valuable, unforgettable lesson, which is here mentioned in these lines. So, we have learned our lessons and we are trying our best to make sure that no company uh, forget walks away after an accident. Ensures a company must ensure that no such accident occurs, and if at all it happens, the liability lies on you. You will be criminally prosecuted, your assets can be even seized. So this is all this chapter is all about, and again it's a part of social justice. If poor worker is working anywhere and because of the negligence on the part of the company, he loses his life, he becomes handicapped, that's again a criminal violation of article 21. So this is what we have discussed in this chapter, and here we have ended the class 8. Now things will start becoming more interesting because we are moving to higher classes. Class ninth is very interesting, and we'll talk about more such things. So that's all from me for today. We shall again meet, and happy studying to all of you.